I don't want to be the person who blames everything on 2020 global pandemic, but it seems like most of life's problems stem from that period and just the habit of overusing technology since then. I think the demand for newer influencers rises every day. We go through this cycle of cancel culture, picking who's going to be the next form of entertainment for the next 3 to 4 years. Then that person kind of dies out, and then there's a new person after that. These third party apps like the one I'm using, or Twitch or Instagram, they make money from people wanting to be famous. These apps want your attention. And that may not be a bad thing when it comes to moderation, but when you're hyper focused on a new influencer or a guru or a streamer, you can start to really lose your touch with reality. I typically fall in love with the guru until I find a video explaining how they're scumbags and full of garbage. And then I question how gullible I really am for believing their stunts. The number one reason why I would not follow these influencers anymore is because they poke at your insecurities. If you're weak, if you have no garden tools, if you're ugly or a minority, you get targeted by a certain person and they start to conform you into their beliefs and perspectives on the world while they perform like a monkey in front of a camera. You got to understand something about most of these influencers, including myself, although not yet. But most of them make money from you watching them make money and not the actual thing that they're promoting. If you watch someone who promotes beauty, whether it's a man or a woman, they don't get rich off of their looks alone. I mean, maybe it's a little bit different for women because of their looks, but there's still a big downfall for women only being pursued or getting money for their looks just alone. These influencers get money off of telling you that they get money from being hot. If it's about going to the gym, they make money off of telling you to go and then streaming going to the gym. Even though some of these kids do drugs to advance their looks, they know you're still going to buy their $50 a month course. This is modern day LARPing, but I feel like most of you already knew that. The classic,
let me just hop onto my rented out Lambo that no one knows is rented because I signed the NDA at the dealership.
let me post mad videos about it, draw attention online, and tell people that don't have Lambos but want Lambos that I just did this by dropshipping. Being a guru is a modern day scam and you're buying off of it. Another reason why I would say don't listen to gurus is because they're special. They all have unique lives that have brought them to this point of existence. But so do you. You don't have the same life as Bro Broski at Twitch.com. You are you. Stop trying to mold yourself into their experience. It takes 10 years for anyone to develop a skill that will make decent money. Think about how long it takes to be a good doctor or lawyer. And now you're like,
I don't want to be a doctor or a lawyer.
but my main point is these things, growth, making money, don't happen overnight. Every video a person that makes content makes that doesn't have life experience is a lie, including some of my videos, which is why my channel description will forever say, take everything with a grain of salt. Yes, I've read the books and I've genuinely been on this self-help journey for the last 5 years, consuming a crap ton of content from books and videos. I probably read about 100 books on self-help alone, and I've studied and will continue to study the best 10 that I've found helpful for me. So yeah, in my perspective, I can give pretty good advice, but I'm still a random person on the internet. So no matter what I say, things should not be ran with. You have to use your own free will, and it's your duty to interpretate information correctly and not take everything I say or another influencer to heart. You gotta learn to think for yourself. And on some levels, this is hard. We are influenced by society a lot. But on a basic level, this is common sense. You're not buying the product, you're buying the emotion. Most of these influencers that know how to get at your insecurities are selling you the fix to the emotion that they create within you. Hey, I'm JBL Streamer 1234. I'm going to tell everyone online that they're not lovable and they will never be lovable unless they do steps A to Z in my course. And then people actually freaking buy it. I'm not even upset. I shouldn't really be that upset. It's basic propaganda, and most people are gullible to fall for it. Heck, I was gullible at one point, even though I never bought a course. I followed some of these gurus until their life hit the fan, and then I started questioning their morals and then my own belief system and my gullibleness. I think my fourth reason that I would never follow some of these influencers is because most of them don't take their advice. I think especially with the girl streamers in these cases, many of the womanly advice givers tell women that they need to look better and never settle for less. Meanwhile, that's
Exactly what they're doing.
they end up in the exact situation that they're telling the world and women to avoid. It's almost hysterical after a certain point. Now, I don't want to be the person that laughs at someone else's toxic relationship or botched face, but I want to point out a common trend. If you want a role model, look up to the person that actually does what they say they're going to do. Look up to someone who doesn't preach out of insecurity and consume this self-help content at a pace. If you're consuming the same person, the same influencer over and over and over again, whether it's on YouTube or Twitch, understand that you might be falling under a spell. I don't want to sound like woo-woo and stuff, but trying to develop a new belief system based on a person online, especially when that person is actively LARPing, is dumb. Getting educated online is important, but about 90%, or probably 100, but I'm going to say 90% of these gurus aren't certified to give you the education that you actually need. If you are going to buy their course, get it for a month, get the blueprint, and then leave. Save your money. If you follow the print and you make at least half of what you're currently making at your job, buy it again and learn more. But I think books or even like literally community colleges can probably help you more than these $50 courses that you only buy when you feel like crap. It's like binge eating, but for courses. You feel insecure, you buy a course or you donate money to a streamer, you feel good for about a week or two, then you go back to that depression and the cycle starts again. It's a habit loop because you aren't getting better by watching these gurus talk. If they aren't actually doing the thing in that video, then they're getting money from you buying their stuff. It's that simple. If they aren't showing you their routine, or if it's like real estate, if they aren't showing you, the houses that they bought or whatever it is, stop watching. Stop listening to people talk about experiences that you've never actually seen them do. This is the American dream. The whole point of these influencers talking about making money or getting God looks or the whole husband or wife of their dreams is basic America propaganda 101. And if you're new to the channel, I use that word a lot. I use that word so much, and I will continue to be using that word, but it's just such a great way to describe how promoting certain emotions will have people act in a certain way. These influencers are dragging an emotion out of you to buy their product. Most men who push on this toxicity of going to the gym, making more money, and sleeping with whomever they want end up having
The worst mental health issues.
most women in this space who I will admit don't really even have courses. They usually recommend therapy. They're still toxic. They teach young girls that they have to be a B, or that they only should date men in a certain tax bracket, which ends up leaving them in worse emotional health and mental health issues. This creates a feedback loop. You'll feel worse in the long term. I mean, you feel good first, right? In the short term, but then in the long term, you feel terrible by what you are actively consuming and putting into practice. And then once you feel terrible, you come back for more. The short term effects is just a bunch of men and women screaming and projecting their insecurities onto you, so you feel slightly motivated for about 2.5 seconds. And so, yeah, maybe going to the gym will make you feel better after some freaking influencer tells you to do it, but don't make the brain connection of going to the gym because someone told you the reason why you feel good. It's the endorphins that you get from lifting the weights. You just start to consume more of their content once you feel good by going, oh, they told me to go to the gym and actually felt good, so I'm going to go watch their videos because watching their videos made me feel good. No, you going to the gym made you feel good. You don't have to continuously consume that content anymore. You have to continuously go to the gym. So many of us just want to feel seen. The lonely epidemic is hitting hard, and we don't really have anyone to talk to or anyone who listens. So we just search for it in the only place we really go to, the internet. But the internet is not your friend. It's a tool, just like money, just like your looks, just like your mind. If you use any of these tools incorrectly, it can have disastrous effects. And someone who makes hundreds of thousands of dollars too fast by LARPing shouldn't be giving you advice on how to use these tools for the rest of yours. It really is the American dream because we are all trying to keep up with the Joneses. We are running to win this game, but this game is your life. So you gotta be a little bit more careful on who you're consuming. It's all about promoting hustle culture. I'm not saying that there's someone in the sky actively picking these people. I genuinely think that this is their own doing, but hustle culture and the promotion of it is just a fancy way of saying the rat race. You aren't overworking or buying these courses because your life depends on it. You're just trying to climb the social hierarchy. And by being so desperate, you actually end up at the bottom of the ladder every time. So a while back, I got caught up in the woo-woo side of self-help. The whole money is abundant, change your mindset, learn to love yourself, law of attraction, that whole BS system. These people were selling me a dream, telling me that my mind is wrong and I didn't believe in myself. And that's why I wasn't able to attract money or the love of my life, right? And, a part of that could be true. You could be self-sabotaging your life because of deep insecurities, but thinking alone is not going to help you at all. It's not going to cure your anxiety or depression. Watching and over-consuming content isn't either. It's a slow, actionable experience that most 20-something-year-olds don't want to do. You just want a shortcut. You don't want to take the action to change your life. And trying to get to this point of having a Lambo and watching these LARPing videos of everybody who has rented out cars and rented out houses with 15 people in them, you start to kind of feel FOMO. And I get it. It's the dream. They're selling you a dream, the American dream. I don't know if it's America, but it's just a dream. And you need to just sit back and realize that you're probably doing a lot better mentally than these kids are. Hard work does not equal success. The hardest workers I know aren't sitting at their laptops in their high-rise apartments that they'll only have for the next 5 to 10 years selling courses and drop shipping in Miami. The hard workers are the single parents, the uneducated, and the poor. These are the people who are buying into these influencers. And of course, everyone who is probably younger than 21. And you know what? Maybe that's just the way I look at life. Some of this is just my perspective on how life should be lived. And, that might be wrong to somebody else. To me, life isn't just about social hierarchy or hard work. It's about how you feel inside. That is so corny. And not running away from that through life-changing procedures, money, and work. The inner issues don't change when the external change. Most of the time, not all of the time, but most of the time, they just get worse. If you're insecure when you get money, you'll just start acting out of that insecurity. You'll get things done to you that don't need to be done to you. If you're broke, making money by scamming people or taking a shortcut won't fix your problems. You'll end up right back at the trailer park, just like some of these lotto winners. Working 60 hours per week when you don't have to, just because you're trying to climb this weird hierarchy that you feel like you're at the bottom of, can only work for so long. And I get it. We're young. We should be working a little harder, but I think the focus isn't going in the right place. I spent so long trying to figure out what was wrong with me through these videos, through these influencers, but the truth is, there really wasn't a lot of things so different than a normal Chad. My problems didn't stem from being poor or being ugly or being born in the wrong time or even too much screen time. My problems stemmed on how I viewed myself. And I was constantly comparing myself to these influencers and other people. Other people online were telling me that I wasn't working hard enough for goals that weren't even mine to begin with. They were telling me that I had to get a Bugatti or have more garden tools or that I needed to be in the gym more. And I'm not going to lie, that does sound cool. But like I said, the external things aren't going to change the way I view myself, aren't going to look at all these influencers that eventually get caught up by their running away from their insecurities. They eventually end up victims of the same belief systems that they were promoting, or in jail, or doing crimes, or, their insecurities push them too far. They get into toxic relationships. So it's just, look at what they're doing. Look at what they're promoting. Some of them are scammers, or they get called out for scams. They prove to the viewer, the audience, that you shouldn't listen to them. Most of them. The hard work starts within, and that is cringy, but it's true. Your depression doesn't always go away by changing your external environment or getting these things that you think that are going to change your life, that these influencers are promoting and telling you that your life is terrible because you don't have this. No, your environment is in your mind. And most of these popular influencers have terrible mental issues. It doesn't change by getting better looks and then projecting that insecurities onto others to change their looks too. It doesn't change by telling young girls to be sugar babies and never settle for anything less. It doesn't change by telling young kids that they should ignore their emotions and work harder, or that they need to learn to control women. Like I said, if you read in between the lines, these influencers are pushing their insecurities onto you, telling you how they operate through the world, and the camera is there to make sure you know that everything that they're promoting is a lie. So yeah, like my bio says, take everything with a grain of salt, including this video. Stop listening to influencers tell you how to live your life. That's like letting someone scream at you on the phone that you paid for. It's absurd.